guest co-host, Dr. Ken Stewart. He was on. That's Gary yelling in the background. Assistant Professor of Primary Care at KCU Joplin is here to share details of a 6-year clinical trial that shows that combining the Mediterranean diet with moderate exercise can significantly lower the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And researchers found that a 31% reduction in risk for people who paired the diet with changes compared to diet alone. That's great news, isn't it, Doctor?
That is really great news. Now, that's not going to change, for people who have already been diagnosed with diabetes. But what we're talking about is a 31% reduction in people developing type 2 diabetes, which is really important. I mean, we're really dealing with a crisis of diabetes in this country. And so, really knowing how to be able to prevent the development of type 2 diabetes is really important. And it really boils down to simple modification of diet and modification of exercise. And we're not talking about an intensity, we're talking about a regularity. So if you're exercising regularly, it doesn't even have to be very intense. If you're taking a brisk walk, or you're doing exercises like balancing exercises to improve your balance. As we get older, we lose the ability to maintain our balance. And so little things like that, taking your dog out for a walk, but being real regular about it. That's the consistency part, is what will really help keep you from developing diabetes.
Is it true that it's about 30 minutes worth of exercise 4 or 5 days a week?
Yeah, they say 20 to 30. So if you're doing a brisk walk, 20 minutes would be fine. But I think the real thing to really hone in on here is that you're doing it consistently. Don't do it 1 week and then skip a couple weeks. If you're doing it like 3 times a week, even 20 minutes, what I was amazed with this study was that they studied them over 6 years and they lost 7 pounds over that 6-year period. And that still translated into really beneficial health improvement for each participant. So we're not talking about, massive amounts of weight loss or really having to watch. About 3,500 calories it takes to burn 1 pound of fat. And so, yeah. So when we talk about the kind of diet we want to do, we want to replace all the, red meats, the saturated fats, all those kinds of things, the butters, the margarines. We want to replace them with like olive oil. That's the Mediterranean diet.
Your salad dressing, replace that with olive oil.
Exactly, exactly. Avoid red meats, avoid processed meats, avoid added sugars. And obviously those ultra-processed foods like potato chips and things like that, those are the things that are going to kind of get you. The things you want to replace them with are going to be fruits and vegetables. So your lunch meal and your dinner meal should have half a tray of, or half a plate of vegetables and the other half of like proteins, meats, usually chickens, fish, those kinds of things, salmon, tuna, those are really good. They provide omega-3s, which are really good and healthy for you to consume.
So that's a good thing to replace the red meat with, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it gives you the protein, it's filling, and replace that a couple times a week, and you'll really be ahead of the game if you get started and stick with it and be consistent with it.
Absolutely. And the average reduction of calories each one of these participants had was about 600 calories per meal, or excuse me, per day. So, it's not really aggressive, but it's significant enough to be able to lose that weight and really think about, daily choices about what we're going to put into our mouth and into our bodies.
And when you look at that plate, think, is this half vegetables, and then, because that's going to fill you up, and the fiber and everything, and it's also going to be a lot less calories. And if you can remember to do that, just a few significant changes, but simple changes, could really make a difference.
Yeah, it's nothing drastic. It's something just making decisions each and every moment. Replacing, sweets, cakes and cookies and things with fruit will also help you limit that caloric intake.
Because you need that sugar, don't you? But you can have it in fruits instead of having a candy bar. He caught me on the way in. I was eating a bag of potato chips and some fruit snacks, and I said, I don't think this is what I should be eating on a day like today. But you know what? This is awareness, and I'm really going to take to heart this, and because as time goes by, this could be harmful to my health, and I could be at a risk for that. So I'm going to change some of those things because of this today.
Fantastic.
Thanks so much for being here.
You bet, Shelby.
And here's a look at